Hi, Gary Mintchell here, and welcome to 2010 or 2010. People are still trying to stumble over how to say the new decade and that's the new millennium. So anyway, 2009 was a very challenging year for just about everybody, especially those of us in manufacturing and automation. There were, despite sales taking in a lot of places, and actually a challenging time for magazines as we saw advertising dip and some other things. But we've come through it, and looking optimistically at 2010 in the new year. There were a lot of things going on last year. There were quite a few new products being developed. Some organizations facing challenges and had to scale back a little bit in their conferences and some other agendas are looking to come back strong. WBF had to pull back off of their conference and had some trying times in their, shall we say, affiliation with ISA. Is coming back strong with the conference coming up in May. The MESA organization, the Manufacturing Operations Management Software Association. I know that didn't equal MESA, but forget about that. Anyway, it looks like they'll be having a conference coming up in June. A lot of excitement and enthusiasm going on there. So a lot of stuff coming up. Trade shows, yeah, that's another issue. National Manufacturing Week died a few years ago. The ISA Expo trade show is now history, replaced with a conference. I've publicly said I would be willing to help them a little bit the press release they sent out was very not informative, and I'd be glad to help them write some more informative stuff. And we all, as ISA members or otherwise, need to help recruit some top-level speakers and make it worthwhile to go to the conference. The possibility is there. I know there are ISA members who are just excellent speakers, have a lot to contribute, a lot of knowledge, and are very good presenters. And hopefully we can round them all up and have a really good ISA conference coming up in October. So there's a lot of time to plan for that. One of the biggest things going on is social. They call it social media or social networking. And it's kind of like, does this relate to like the marketing people watching this? How do I use this for marketing? And people are trying to figure that out. A lot of people just use it for link bait, so to speak. You send a tweet out in Twitter, and all you have is a link back to your home site, hoping to drive more page views at your website. That's one way to do it. I've seen that. Somebody said only 70-some% of the tweets are worthwhile. I got to believe it's the other way around. It's probably 27% are really worthwhile. On the other hand, there's a lot going on with in Twitter as conversations. And then there's Facebook and there's LinkedIn and these other social kinds of things. There's the blogs we've had a long time. Comments on blogs is another part of this whole deal. So we're trying to figure all this out. And if you're a marketer, does it make any sense at all in marketing to help get your message out that people actually want to listen to? And I think that's one of the challenges is for marketers is they want to hit you over the head instead of just working with you and having a conversation. A lot of these things are just conversations. Speaking of ISA and conversations, there are quite a few people trying to persuade leadership at ISA to change some directions, change some government of the association, and get members more involved. So you can go to OurISA, O-U-R, OurISA, and just Google that. It'll take you to a Facebook page or a website, and there's quite a conversation starting, but it's really only about 7 of us, I think, right now. And we really need more like 700 would be great. And a conversation, and then break it into areas of things people are interested in, new areas for standards development and all kinds of stuff like this. When you get 700 people together, you should get ideas flowing. And that would be a great thing. So I encourage all the listeners to tell other listeners or for this thing to snowball. And if you care about ISA, go to OurISA and contribute and participate in the conversation. For 2010, I'm looking ahead, and I have a lot of things I'm wondering about. What's going to happen in 2010? A lot of talk in the IT world about the cloud. cloud computing? Are we going to start moving more applications to the cloud, or at least more data to the cloud? I think that's a very very possible thing that we can start putting data in the cloud. But we're talking about services in the cloud, so we don't have as many applications at the computer level. So I don't know how that works. It's probably too much latency for MOM level software, and definitely not real time. But definitely, there's a lot that could come in. So I'm just curious. I wonder, what are we going to make of that? Um, what's been called MES, or this manufacturing operations level software, is very expensive and very time consuming to put in. And it sounds like in the 30 years since I did a project, it hasn't gotten a lot easier. And I was kind of looking at Control's top 50 companies, and there weren't very many software companies in there. And so I'm really curious of what's going on. Are we going to get more of adoption? Are we still going to be using Excel in the plants for our manufacturing operations software? Or can we get some combination of more modularity, better services, maybe application to standards like ISA 95 that we can use to help maybe drive down the cost and make some of this a little easier, implement smaller chunks at a time. And a lot of this has to do with culture of manufacturing companies. And by the way, the more I read about this, it's not just culture for the MOM application, but actually lean. We're a long way from running good quality lean manufacturing organizations that make money through manufacturing, and we need to do that. I'm looking at control platforms, and something about hardware is they tend to drive, especially in electronics, drive down to commodity level and bring the pricing down, which makes it a little more difficult to make money. So I'm wondering, 2010, what's that going to do for our control level stuff? Are we going to see some new things in control level technology? Haven't seen anything for a while now in that, other than Emerson's new Delta V looks interesting, and Beckhoff is now pushing something they call scientific, I forget now the word, I should have looked it up, scientific computing or scientific automation, and it has to do with just putting more stuff on the controller. So I used to just control inputs, outputs, or just look at loops. And now we have information servers and motion control, and we're just doing all kinds of stuff with it. And so they're looking at more instrumentation going into discrete manufacturing controllers. Which brings up my next item, which is what's happening in discrete automation. This whole year of 2009 and even 2008, as automotive companies started tanking, we were doing less and less automation in automotive. And it seems like after a lot of years, and maybe 6-7 years of impetus of automating packaging machinery, that was the real nirvana. Every automation company that did discrete automation was heading to the packaging machinery OEMs to switch them over to servo control and motion and actually even information serving and all the modern automation stuff to bring them up to the new era. When I was at Rockwell, they said, well, packaging is good, but we're looking to expand into other OEMs. I think that's a signal that the packaging people have reached an automation state. Are there other things out there to replace first automotive, and then second, the packaging, more momentum for discrete automation suppliers? I've been looking on the process side, and a lot of the news was coming out of China and Asia about the size of some of these petrochemical plants are getting huge, and the foundation field bus points, just numbering. It's almost an exponential kind of growth. Not really, but we won't quibble on the math. But anyway, are they going to continue to get more and more complex and higher and bigger facilities? I talked a little bit about social media in marketing, but is there a part of social media that could be used by engineers, IT people in manufacturing for communication and collaboration? We're now collaborating across boundaries of time zones and geography, and would some of these things help communication in that way? Would they also help for things like service, answering questions? I'm trying to hook up this I/O with this controller. Have you had any experience? Do I have to watch out for something, or that kind of thing? Looking for startups. When you read the high-tech people, they're all about startups and all that kind of thing. But what startups do you think will come up in 2010 that maybe they get acquired by the big guys? That's okay, but it helps boost the level of something in automation. So let's look for the startups and what are some of the really interesting things going on.